So with 2021 passing and 2022 dawning on us, I have found a few new ideas in regards to content creation. However, perhaps some things are best left shrouded in the darkness, at least for now. However, throughout 2021, many of you have besieged this channel with many questions to the content presented within. So with this video, I hope to answer as many as I can to give you some clarity and insight into the behind the scenes of this channel. First of all, I'd like to give a huge thank you to all of my viewers, whether you be an old subscriber that was here since the very beginning, watching my content evolve into what it has become today. From speedrunning to investigation, from analysis to controversy, from commentary to documentary. Or that you have only recently come across this channel on your glorious travels through the dimly lit corridors of past, present, and perhaps future content this site has to offer, or perhaps you are a lurker that has stumbled out of the vents and onto this channel, not yet subscribed and are intrigued to see where it goes. We all have a role to play on this channel, or on this site as a whole, and I am very thankful to have such an amazing audience like yourselves. Honestly, this time last year, I said to myself this year is going to be the year that I finally achieve what I had set out to do all those years ago, in which I did. However, I did not expect to have grown the channel to the point where it has gotten to today, and it astonishes me how this has even happened so quick in such a short period of time. This is a bit cliche, but I never thought that I would be presenting this type of content, but I guess the type of content that makes you successful is never really what you thought it would be. At least that is for me. Since the beginning of 2021, I was an on and off speedrunner, watching Dead Space runs become what they are today, and slowly seeing myself and my runs become irrelevant from the speedrunning community. But that is a story for another day. Now, let's begin with the Q&A before I send you all off to the wishful lands of your innermost sanctums within your dreams. Question 1 is by Sugma. Wait, so there's a second hive mind on board the Ishimura? Not exactly. Within the events of Dead Space Salvage, the marker shards activate once again in response to the contact with the Magpie personnel, reanimating the corruption found throughout the ship into hordes of necromorphs. Throughout your journey through Dead Space, you can see the corruption filling the decks. Like in Chapter 4, there is an elevator you can unlock after the battle with the Brute that you can take down into the basement to reroute power to the ADS cannon. But in Chapter 8, the shaft leading down into that area has been corrupted and replaced with more corruption, limiting your ability to explore certain areas of the ship. So another hive mind does appear within the comic. However, this one is to be a smaller version than the one that was on Aegis 7. Question 2 is by Feline Comrade. Sorry if I got your name wrong, I might have just butchered it then. What the hell is that snorting sound? The background noise that could be heard in some of the live streams or speedruns, most notably the Dead Space Glitchless World Record speedrun at the time, has a noise that most call a snorting or a squelching sound, is the sound of my dentures. See, before I had them, I would grind my teeth, and that is a habit that I still do possess, much to everyone's displeasure. The reason for the noise mainly is that I have yet to purchase permanent dentures, and I don't use the gel to stick them to my gums, as I don't like the feeling of it, as it makes me feel sick. The sound will be trapped air in between my gums and dentures popping, much like what happens when you click your knuckles, or at least to my knowledge anyway. This one's not a question, but I wanted to kind of highlight it anyway. By Intense Pickle. You idiot millennials can't even read your own script properly. Countless similar videos, all with obvious pronunciation errors. It shows how fucked your generation is. I mean, my god, you can't even read! With this, I can't exactly give you much of a response, but I do find it funny when my viewers make these observations into why certain people can't pronounce certain words. but it could be because of different accents makes for different pronunciations, or in my case, when I am uncertain about pronouncing something, I will ask the mighty lords of Google how to do this, with them giving me an example. But with some words such as the Mexican word for witch, that people love to tell me that I pronounced it wrong as they nail me to the cross for my utmost terrible transgression. Other times it can vary between the issues I face with my dentures when trying to say certain words, or being dependent on how I feel at the time of the recording sessions, as illnesses can be a common factor into speech impairment. Also, I'm not sure that you can tell what generation someone is from just by merely hearing their voice, but yeah, I was born in the 90s, so la-di-da-di-da, I guess. Although, I guess you're from the bad side of Generation X, cause let's be fair, you act like someone who is very much closed-minded and won't take the time to understand why some things happen. But I suppose you, sir, have learned a very valuable lesson from that video. See, you clicked on the video thinking that I would be 100% perfect, as I'm not human, right? I'm some sort of advanced AI system programmed to provide you with stories for your bedtime, right? Now, you didn't get the satisfaction from hearing what I had to say in that video, probably lost out on an hour of your life. But you see, life is very much a game in itself. Sometimes you win, and sometimes you lose. And the lesson that life will drill into your skull is, life simply is not fair. So now I will pat myself on the back for providing you with that lesson, that good life lesson. See, it's true, knowledge is power. Husky Sands asks, what is your favorite character in the Dead Space lore, games, books, movies, etc. besides Isaac, Carver, and Ellie, and why? I would say Gabe Weller, since he was in the Aegis 7 outbreak in Dead Space Extraction and within the events of Dead Space 2 with the 7 DLC, which happens to be my favorite. I like Gabe because of his personality, being very much of an authority figure within the games, even if he was not in charge or the leader. And throughout Extraction, you see him give you the blunt side of the truth, rather than cherry-picking information to sweeten the pill that would be tough to swallow. In other words, he is not a bullshitter, much like how Carver would be portrayed in Dead Space 3, but Gabe was so much more than he was in my opinion, especially when he exhibits pride in others like in Chapter 2 of Extraction, and maintaining an honor system like in Chapter 8. He doesn't kill Warren for his betrayal, or even attempt to. Gabe is also a very good judge of character, seeming as he never liked Warren before the betrayal and knew something was off about him. Gabe's personality can be blunt, stern, and stubborn at times, with a serious undertone, but he was always looking out for others, while thinking on a realistic basis on what they can and cannot do for his team's survival. Fillingham21 would ask, would you ever like to see Isaac Clarke and an Ubermorph make an appearance in Dead by Daylight? That game is basically Super Smash Bros. But for horror titles, so I thought it would be interesting. Isaac is an engineer, so he could repair generators at a more rapid pace. If I had to choose a necromorph for Dead by Daylight, it would not be the Ubermorph, as I don't find its design overly scary. It looks, in my opinion, inferior to the Hunter, who I think would make a better appearance, either that or have Nicole as the antagonist in the game, with her having the ability to blink around the map, with a 1-minute cooldown, making it a valuable resource in your strategy without it becoming overpowered. However, I would not like to see Isaac in the game, as he is a more suited to an action type of game, not pure survival like the main theme of Dead by Daylight offers. That would be like putting the Master Chief in Dead by Daylight, it just simply would not work. Dead by Daylight offers a original slasher type of theme that you would see from films like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, or Halloween. And Isaac is more of a slayer of necromorphs than a helpless victim looking to escape a nightmare within the forest or other environments housed within the game. Painful Hydra asks, are you going to make more commentary documentary style videos? If yes, what do you have in mind? After the next big timeline video, I will be making a reveal into which franchise I want to cover next in regards to the timeline videos, and I will only cover background lore in separate videos if I feel it has not been covered by others who know the series better. However, I will still be making Dead Space content, exploring more that the series has to offer, like exploring a certain ship and the twisted occupants held within, holding them under the microscope. Slade Darklighter asks, what is the worst thing you have come across while editing your own videos? For full context of the worst thing I have come across while editing my videos, a bit of insight is needed. So after I've recorded a segment for the commentary or narration, I will go through the recording, adding effects like noise reduction or amplifying the audio so you can hear me better, along with cutting out my breaths, as I'm a little bit of a perfectionist and I kinda don't like hearing breathing within someone else's videos, especially commentary videos, as it does annoy me. So a lot of work does go into the video even before the editing process, but the worst thing I have come across is when I have missed something in the editing of the recording, like a mistake or a slip up, and then I have to cut it out in Vegas Pro. Another thing is probably worse is when making the Aegis timeline, I didn't put as much care into the video as I felt like no one would actually see the video, let alone like it. Regardless, the mistake that everyone has told me about, the problem with the audio mixing, and that was because of a certain soundtracks I like to use in the timeline videos. I tend to use music native to that era that I am talking about, so while talking about the part between the Dead Space comics movie and the spin-off game, I would use some of Downfall's tracks, but the problem that I did not notice in recording was that the soundtracks would be quiet for a few moments, or play at a ambient level, but then the volume would increase dramatically in an instant. In other videos like the Sprawl timeline, I would listen through a headset while editing. However, instead of trusting the instruments showing me the audio levels, I trusted my own ears to be able to allow myself to think that the audio levels were fine, even though they weren't. T3AJ4Y asks, how does Isaac lose his suit in between Dead Space 2 and 3? Well, at this time he is trying to lay low and not raise awareness about his own survival, since he doesn't want anything to do with the government, and rightfully so. Perhaps he doesn't have the money in his savings, so he sold the suit in an auction to buy property and to get Ellie a replacement eye. Other times with such questions like these, you have to kind of tell yourself that it's just a video game. So questions like those may not have a law-abiding answer, because the developers did not put the advanced suit in the base game. An example of these questions that don't really have much of an answer and only forms of speculation can be grafted from it, like a what-if theory or a scenario, would be a question I heard on Johnny J25's channel asking why the zombies from Call of Duty slap you rather than bite you, which will present you with a rather boring conclusion that provides you with only disappointment. So I am sorry for that, I wish I held the answer you were looking for. However, with your next question, I may be able to enlighten you. What made you like Dead Space enough to make a YouTube channel about it? Originally, this channel wasn't a Dead Space channel. It really wasn't a channel at all. It was more of a dumping ground for the speedrun records that I would highlight from Twitch. But after a couple of years of doing this, I would make a return to making YouTube videos, with Dead Space being my most popular videos, along with investigations into speedruns of Dead Space, analysing their credibility. However, because people only wanted to see Dead Space content from my channel, at the time I felt forced to make it, seeming as I wanted to do this as a career for myself. However, it did not stop me from venturing out and making other forms of content. But after a while, I knew I would have to return to the Ishimura at some point, salvaging more content from the haunted hallways and echoes of past twisted memories. Don't get me wrong, I love Dead Space, but I don't see it being the end-all be-all for this channel, like it is for other channels that cling to one franchise, as I would rather be the master of the multiverse of video games, providing timelines for all, even if they have been done before, rather than the master of just one Dead Space, if you get what I mean. But I don't think that there will be any game out there or any franchise that will make me feel the same as I do with Dead Space, as I don't know why, but I kind of feel at home with Dead Space. Like its story, themes, and tormented souls resonates with me, perhaps even feeling connected to Isaac in some sort of strange way, but who knows. All I know is that I will continue to create Dead Space content in the future, especially when we find out more details of the remake when it is finally released to us, so we can see if EA will make us whole once again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then give the video a like rating and let me know what your thoughts are below, and I look forward to hearing from you. Sign up to join the British Alliance today by subscribing and ringing in the notification bell for updates on future videos, streams, and posts, and I will see all of you awesome people on the front lines, and have a good one.